Hello everyone and welcome to the first look. Today we'll take a look at a very brand new brand and a brand new IM. This is the Twistura D Major. Now, I have no idea what is this because I was told to try it out by Linsoul. Linsoul provided me this copy here to actually have a very quick, first impression and comparison. And you can see Twistura's, this is their frequency response, and you can tell that, it's quite a standard one these days. Lifted in the bass, deep in the mids, and then lifted up in the highs again. So semi V shape, but this is a bit mild to me. So I'm guessing it's going to be pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty nice, right? A bit warm though. But that is just look at the graph. So let's not waste time. Unbox this thing and then have a listen and then do a comparison. Now, this is about 50 USD according to Linsoul site. So, they provided me this copy. So, do check them out if you are very interested in this IEM. But let's not waste time and unbox this thing up. With many other brands, it looks like this. Normally, they display the IEM on top and then all the accessories below. It's quite standard these days. This is the Twistura. We will have a closer look later, but let's put this aside first. And then this is the cables. Now, this cable is pretty standard. It uses a 2-pin connection. Later, we'll connect this up. And then this is the filter nozzle. These nozzles do represent certain amount of tuning, but I can't really figure out what is this about because they didn't write like mids or highs. They write something else. So I'm not really sure. honestly, I'm not really sure. Let's take a look inside this box. It's the back and then tips. This is pretty much all the item in the box. Cable, nozzles that has some tuning, and then tips here, and then a back. This is the type of snap back, and then the IEM itself. Pretty much it, right? Let's take a look at the IEM now. Now this IEM here is pretty nice. It's made of metal. It's really pretty hefty, This is actually probably one of the best built IEM at 50 USD mark. Super heavy duty, and the finishing and cutting is actually really, really nice. I give it top scores for build quality at this price point. Really top scores for build quality. So the IEM, you can see that there is a recessed 2-pin here, and then there's a venting at the side. This is the IEM with the, I'm not too sure what tip is this. A tip I've never seen before. It is a mid-size ball tip, not the large size ball tip. So very similar to like Sophier's liquid silicone, at least in looks wise. So later we'll try it out. I'll probably have to change to the smaller tip before we try. But pretty much it. The IEM is very nice. Let's take a look at the cables itself. Now the cables is very standard. This is very similar to what I expect out of most affordable IEMs. Usually cables are the things that they spend the least because I will do a video on cables and I want to see whether is there a difference. So that's for the future. But you can see that this is the tips itself. Obviously, this cable is specifically designed for the Twistura because the shape isn't quite like the standard 2 pins with rectangle head. Is slightly wider. I don't know whether you can use standard 2 pins on this IEM because of its recess and how is it recessed. Something to try out later. So for the tips itself, you can see that they give 2 kinds of tips. This is, I believe, the standard type of tips, and this is the silicone style tips. A bit sticky here. This is sticky. This is not sticky. It's a pretty nice tip, I guess. I'll try out later. So without wasting time, let's connect everything up, put on the small tips, and have a first impression. Now, before I actually put all the tips up, I just want to let you guys look at the nozzle itself. So the nozzle itself has a nice lip, and the nozzle itself isn't that big. It has a hexagonal shape, so it's not a very big nozzle. So you probably can fit most tips on it, even though at this price point, you probably just use whatever tips that comes with it. But if you have any spare tips, you can actually try changing them to see whether it improves the sound. For the first song, I'll be trying out Ibarra here, and then I also will try out with the tips and see how it affects and then tell you guys what it does. Now, I have to say the truth, I had a lot of fun with this Twistura D Major. I think it's really good, but before that, let's talk a little bit about the nozzles and the tips. First, well, the nozzle-wise, the blue nozzles here are elevating, I believe, certain part of the treble region. I'm not really sure. Doesn't feel like it's just all the way to the high trebles, but it's certain part of the treble regions and the higher part of the mids. And then the Red one kind of like dulls the mids down. Yes. So it's not like it increases bass, but it just dulls the whole song down in the mids level. Therefore, there is more apparent bass, and I kind of dislike it. Yeah. So if you ask me, you'll use it either the blue tips, which actually surprisingly pretty enjoyable in a different way. It feels like everything is a little more elevated, but not too hot and spicy yet. Well, I prefer to use the balanced one for this particular review, which is the black nozzle that is already fitted on here. So we'll be using the black nozzle for the rest of this particular review, not the blue and red that is given. I mean, if you find this a little bit too hot, you can try the red that dulls everything down. Or if you want a bit more excitement, you can go for the blue. But it's surprisingly very little difference. Like, at least when I hear it, I feel like it's trying to plus minus 2 dB, that kind of stuff. Small little difference. But for people who are very sensitive to it, you can pick it up quite easily. Now, that being said, let's talk about the tips. So the tips wise, you notice that all the tips are full because I didn't use any of them. The tips on the right side is unusable for me. It doesn't seal for some reason. The small tips doesn't seal, the big tips are too big. And then on the left, the tips do seal, but I feel that it kind of makes the thing a little bit bright in a weird way. These are the larger nozzles on the left side, and it does make it a little bit brighter, but a bit more congested sounding, like things get clumped together. So in the end of the day, I decided that, I will not use both of these. Now, why I knew that this thing cannot seal properly is because at first when I hear the song at the start, there was like no bass, which is not possible. The frequency response tells me that should be bass, so I pressed it deeper into my ear using my fingers, and bass came back. So it's a sealing problem. So yeah, surprisingly, the tips don't work out for me. So for this particular review, I'll be using the SpinFit Omni. Now, this is a bit expensive for this IEM, but it does make this IEM sound really, really good. So that being said, let's talk about the IEM sound. Now, when I was hearing Ibarra with these tips and using the black nozzle, I think it was really nice. It was really balanced. Edo's voice was really powerful. Bass was punchy, even though it's a bit lacking in terms of quantity. But it is very nice, very punchy, and relatively balanced compared to the rest of the range. Now, the highs are quite good. The simple crashes are a little bit, I would say, as normal. It doesn't feel too hot, nor does it feel too mild and loss of energy kind of style. No, it's quite, middling. And overall, it does create a very good sound. I feel that, overall the sound is like nice throughout. And not only that, when it comes to the soundstage, it's pretty big. I'm pretty sure this is one of the biggest soundstage I ever heard on the IEM below $100. Something to try later. Now, clarity-wise, at least when I hear it alone for Ibarra, it is really clear, very distinct, good separation. So, I don't know what to say, there's no negativity to talk about for this IEM. Now, with that said, let's hear the second song, and then let's have a comparison after that. So, for the second song, I'll be using Backlight from Edo. I'll probably be using Edo the whole time today. Now, with Backlight, there's a few things that I want to say. Firstly, the texture in the bass is pretty good. Even though the quantity is not a lot, texture is great. Vocals-wise, it's also really nice when Edo enters the middle part of the song, when she starts singing the chorus. It's really powerful and very, very clear. And very nice, well extended. And then the treble during the part of the chorus itself, there is a lot of cymbals. The cymbals are clear, crisp. There is a lot of them, and sometimes it can feel a bit messy, but on this IEM, it's pretty okay. I'll say it's not the clearest of them all, but definitely very good. I guess for this price point, it's clear enough that you can distinctly tell all the different cymbal hits, and the voice don't get drowned by the cymbals themselves. Pretty good overall performance, and the soundstage is really nice. Separation was still pretty good. Positioning wise, not too distinct, but it's fine. It's still pretty nice. Now, that is Backlight from Edo itself. Now, this is the second song, so let's do the third song. Third song, I will do another Backlight, but this time, I will be doing Backlight by Vonde, and it's a very different take. So, I'll use it to compare with this one, IEM. This is my benchmark IEM for sub 100 for some time. This is the 02. So, let's try the 02 out from Truthia versus the Twistura D Major. So I've heard backlight by Vonde from both of these IEMs. The Twistura D Major is definitely a better IEM, straight up. The only thing that it loses to the 02 is the quantity of bass. That's about it. It has better bass impact, it has bigger soundstage, it has a clearer mids, it has a I guess a more exciting treble that is closer to a lot of the high-end IEMs. And overall, the sound is just clearer and better on the Twistura D Major. I mean, this is like a clear cut to me, a better IEM. The impact is better. The only thing is that the bass quantity isn't as much and the mids are a little bit forward. I mean, the 02 is kind of laid back if you hear side by side, and in fact, if you were to swap really quick, it sounds dull versus the D Major itself. I think D Major is doing a fantastic job in this. Now, this is, of course, backlight by Vonde. I just want to hear one more song for comparison. So I will do a little bit more relaxing. I Know Akuruhi this time. More vocal-centric song. Okay, so I heard I Know Akuruhi with this track already, and I just want to say that, firstly, the D Major is a better IEM. The whole track itself is rendered very nice, airy, smooth, and not only that, I Know Akuruhi could be rendered in a few ways. One is the very fragile style when she starts the song, or just smooth, just smooth and calming, right? The Twistura does that smooth yet very fragile sound, very light, like it's going to break. It's really nice. I mean, for I Know Akuruhi, the Twistura rendered it way more beautiful. I could actually close my eyes and really enjoy. Next is that the bass texture on the Twistura D Major is also better than the 02 from 7Hz significantly. Like the whole vibration there, you can hear it. Yes, the quantity is not as much, but if I was to compare, right, the bass on the 02 is just shaking, rumbling bass. But on the Twistura, you can hear that small little ripple and sound that is really beautiful there. And then when you actually enter the high energy part, the push from the Twistura towards the high energy, and then also releasing some of the treble instruments there, the D Major does it way better. The Twistura D Major does it way better. I feel that if I was to compare to the 02 at this point in time, 02 just feels dull. So overall, I think the Twistura is doing a way better job in all parameters, except bass quantity. I just want to summarize the sound quality of the Twistura, and I can tell you that the Twistura is fabulous. The bass, yes, it doesn't have much quantity, but it has the quality, that rumble, that texture, really good. The impact is really nice, very clean bass itself. It's very enjoyable bass, just not a lot of bass. So if you're a heavy bass head, this is not for you. If you want the super rumble, like the Scarlett Mini, this is not for you. The 7Hz actually does it better. Now, when it comes to the overall sound signature, I think that it's very balanced sound, which means that the mids are not like too behind, shadowed by the bass and the treble. And the treble energy has just the right amount that is exciting, clear, and I would say as not fatiguing. So overall, the sound signature is very pleasant, very enjoyable, very good. Soundstage is pretty big. In fact, I would dare to say that this is in the mid-class of soundstage. For an IEM of this price, it can probably fight with IEMs significantly higher price in terms of quality itself. Now, if you were to compare the 02, some people may think that the body on this IEM is lesser. But I listened really carefully. I think this is rendering it more correct. The 02 just has so much more, bass regions and lower mids that is giving this body effect that is not quite right for certain songs. While the Twistura is just nice balance there. So I do really enjoy the Twistura significantly more than the 02 for all the tracks I've tried. Overall, I think the Twistura is doing a really good job. And the details and stuff when I was listening to Backlight by Vonde was really clean. Really, really clean. I can hear the electric guitars behind. Very clear. This belongs to almost the high-end regions of IEM in terms of clarity itself. So, in summary, I think this is a really good IEM. It feels good, it looks good, and this may be one of the better IEM you can purchase below $100. And this may even be one of the better IEMs you can purchase under $300-400. I have heard quite a bit of IEMs there, and so far, most of them, If I was to compare it to the 02, I may actually choose the 02. But for the first time, I have an IEM that can, I would say, confidently say I enjoy it more than the 02 significantly. And that's about it. This is the first impression of the Twistura D Major. Very interesting IEM, very good take, very nice IEM for its first one. It may just be a single driver, but it's fabulous in sound. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this short little first impression. I'll see you guys again. Bye bye.